Now, onto the secretary's trip. What is going on with this feud between you and the Russian Foreign Ministry and the Russian Embassy over a meeting between, or a potential meeting between Secretary Tillerson and Foreign Minister Lavrov? Whether or not he got an invitation engraved or otherwise, the Russians did publicly say several times in several different forums that they were looking to have a meeting happen. Did you guys just simply reject that out of hand? Did you decide that it was inconvenient or that inappropriate given the current tension in the relationship?
You know, the Secretary addressed this from Ethiopia earlier today. He said that he mentioned that he and Foreign Minister Lavrov have met many times. I went back and took a look at the number of times that the two of them have met in less than a year. They've met in person at least 9 times. In the last 3 months alone, they've spoken by phone on 4 occasions. The Ambassador Antonov, has had substantial access to U.S. government officials. We never received a formal invitation. I said that the other day, and I stand by that today. We never received a formal invitation.
Well, does it have to be a formal invitation? And given what the situation right now, especially the administration, not just you from this podium, but the administration's very harsh criticism of Russia, both for its actions in Syria and in Ukraine, you know, was it deemed not to be useful to have a meeting? It seems like that's the time when things are at a low point that you would want to have
Secretary
a meeting.
Tillerson has a very tight schedule, and just because the two of them happen to be in the same country at the same time does not necessarily mean that they are going to carve out time to have discussions about world events.
Okay. Well,
we have been very forceful, as have many other countries, in their criticism about Russia's activities, not only in Ukraine, but also in Syria. We've been very clear about that. I'd like to mention just overnight alone, 63 civilians have been killed. That's in addition to, I believe it's nearly 900 or so who have been killed in recent weeks since this latest round of attacks has started taking place in eastern Ghouta. Let's remember the horrors that are taking place there in eastern Syria. In eastern Ghouta, and I think that reminds us of where things
it's not
stand.
just that they were in the same country on the same continent; they were in the same hotel.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you.
I've been to that hotel before. It's not that difficult to run into
that Russia seems willing to make progress on any of these issues around the country?
I don't know,
I pose that question to all of you.
I don't know, but is that the reason?
Do they seem willing to listen to the world?
Is that the reason?
Do they seem willing to listen to the United States government? Let me remind you, folks, that it was about 2 weeks ago that the UN Security Council passed a unanimous resolution. 15 countries signed on to that resolution, including the Russian government. That resolution called for a nationwide ceasefire around the country. That nationwide ceasefire would help save the lives of innocent civilians in eastern Ghouta. Overnight alone, 63 innocent civilians were killed. We have seen the aid convoys, which were supposed to get in, yet they can't get in. They can't provide the aid that they need to from the UNHCR and also the Red Cross. All of that needs to change. If Russia wants to be a responsible partner to the international community, to the United States, and to the world, and to humanity, they know what they need to do. They need to stop.
Does that mean that that's like a condition now for them?
I'm not saying that. I would just ask.
I mean, was this an intention? I'm trying to figure out if this is an intentional
take a look
snub.
at the activities and see if you think that they are being a responsible partner to the world. And I will leave it at that.
Presuming your answer to that question is no, they're not being a responsible partner, is that the reason that you guys basically ignored this Russian invitation,
I can tell
whether
you,
it was formal or not?
And maybe some of you think this is cute, but we received no formal invitation, and I won't go beyond that. Okay? Let's move on to something else.